I am Couchcooper and welcome to one of my more anticipated video reviews of Monster Hunter Rise on the PlayStation 5. A year ago, I really didn't think I'd be in this situation where I can enjoy Rise on Game Pass, PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. This video is going to cover a number of different aspects, i.e. online mode, performances and integration with other platforms or systems. Let's start off with performance. What an incredible looking game. Remembering this is an upscaled Switch original. Having put at least 15 to 20 hours over on Game Pass on my PC GTX 1660, I'm in a good position to hold these two versions up against each other. And first thing, which is an obvious one, is that you don't have as many variables with the PlayStation 5 on performance and quality modes. You've got 3. Now performance, get this, is such a huge dip from 1080 that it's unbelievably unbearable. It is 60 frames per second. Then there's quality mode, which is great, beautiful, crisp 4K. But then there's this middle default mode, which doesn't have any specs written under it. It's basically a super sampled 60 frames per second, trying to get to 4K, a balanced mode, if you will, and it's incredible. I stuck with it for the whole rest of the time I reviewed it, and it was really good to have that middle ground with those two extremes. But one thing that I have noticed is that the game has a mesh system on a lot of distance furniture or just draw distance mechanics, and it's a bit fuzzy and grainy on the PlayStation 5. You can really reduce it on the PC. You've got the sliders available to put together a much more bespoke experience. But I was very impressed with these maps, some of the distance effects, the heat warp, the sand. There is a bit of HDR bleed out on the 5 when capturing in some of those desert maps. But let's get to something that surprised me about the 5 version, a little bit of haptic feedback. Couldn't believe it. When I had the gun lance on, when you had the shield up, you've got a little bit of bite when you have bullets in the chamber. Small little things like that. Couldn't feel it much on any of the major Switch Axe weapons, but it's certainly there for a lot of the range. I'm probably just too much of a blind panic to notice. It doesn't push back incredibly like a game from the launches, Returnal for example, but it's no Elden Ring, which is completely redundant of haptic controls from Sort That Out. Now, let's talk platform integration. Over on the Microsoft side, you can play anyone on an Xbox S and One and PC. They've kind of scored quite well on that front. On the Sony side, of course, you can play PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. I say of course, I've freaking well double checked it though. I've had such a rough ride with that, with having to buy 2 copies of GTA 5 and 2 copies of Battlefield 2042, with vast differences on either mode. This is straight down the middle. I think the PlayStation base level doesn't have those performance options, but you do have them on the Pro, which is really welcome. But this is the best place on console, I feel, to be playing this game. Completely biased, and I'll tell you why. Monster Hunter is a very true Japanese brand and a big Capcom IP. And in its fledgling years, it partnered with Sony on the PSP. It launched Freedom Unite, I think it was called, on that portable system. I never got to play it. I only got to Monster Hunter on the 3D and 3DS level. But it was over on the PlayStation 2 for a very long time, and the early games were launched on that system, and it kind of was hand in hand with Japan launches, the Japanese system, everything just being together. And then Nintendo swooped in with its massive money and exclusivity deals and kept it over on their portable systems, which broke a lot of people's hearts. That's why World was so welcome to see the Monster Hunter franchise A, coming out on a very powerful bunch of systems, but B, just coming back home, coming back to Sony. We are looking at some online footage now, and I have mastered this rabbit gun lance so well. How is the online compared to it over on the PC, or how is it in general? Flawless, absolutely incredible. Always love the online version of this game. However, it is a little bit pushbacky to newbies. It's got the weirdest archaic interface you've ever had the misfortune to come across, but there's good reason for all of it, giving you private lobby options, loads of emojis and unlockable interactions, dances, boxing, poses. I wanted to touch on that point actually. It's why I've reviewed the game twice and why I'm making such a fuss about it coming out on loads of consoles. Is I feel this is one of the strongest online co-op games to have come out in the last 5 to 10 years. It is incredible, very accessible, and extremely good looking now we've got it on 10th gen. One of the subjects broached in the previous video on the PC review side was Sunbreak. Sunbreak is a very large piece of DLC that's come out for Rise over the last 6 months over on the Nintendo only side. That needs to be stipulated. It will be coming over to the Sony and Xbox side, but not until around springtime. They're doing that thing where they're not really giving us a particular month or date. And also we have seen the flagship monster from Iceborne feature as an update in Sunbreak. Holy shit, Sunbreak's going to be amazing. Let's get back to the game on screen, and I'm constantly slack-jawed at new stuff that appears to me on these 10th gen systems because it's just been ramped up so well. The lighting, the granular detail on all of the textures. This monster's cornered in a cave, and when it does its flash attack, the shadows and directions of light were just something you didn't notice, or they weren't as crisp on that original Nintendo system. You were looking at it at 720p. This sort of stuff went past your eyeballs in a flash. Now you enjoy it at 4K and a beautiful bulky Sony pad, which I don't think are as good as Xbox pads. Jesus Christ, don't unsubscribe. As you can see, I'm learning the old bonjour stick all over again. It's a very complicated weapon aerially, and you have to be aware of where the monster is all the time. It helps with having a lock on, but it's a new learning process for me because it's blended with the wirebug moves now. So the most aerial and advanced weapon in the game has now been given another layer of high with the bug wire. There's no need for you to come downstairs anymore. You just might as well stay up there. Incredible stuff. I wanted to talk about the game's online aspects with randoms. This game has a culture of eliminating arseholery. You cannot be a lone wolf or not a team player. When this fight came on, I had joined late, and being the confident vet I am, I just ran out into the fight. I'm wearing quite a low rank set because I want it all matching for you guys on the video, but truth is it's barely 100 defense, and I die immediately, like literally immediately, and the guilt I felt because I'd now jeopardized the entire quest itself. I ended up life powdering everyone all the time and just keeping their health up and avoiding everything. You really don't want to be a problem on quest. It's a great feeling that everybody is going in the same direction and having the same goal. The Monster Hunter team and the Capcom devs as well are so good with giving you these cool little event quests and a reason to log in every day, see what's new, see what you've been given. And we already have the Akami Wolf set available for your Palamute, which is in that gathering hub under Rising Sun. And you just have to go around, get 20 little packages. You might have to repeat the event once or twice, but really it's pretty damn simple to have one of the most iconic god dogs in game. Okay, it's split screen comparison time, and we've got the PlayStation 5 over on the left, and we've got the Game Pass version of this on my PC GTX 1660 on the right. Now this is not an Elden Ring situation where I have to hold up everything because there's drastic differences in frame dips from patch to patch. There's barely a noticeable difference, but I am playing the PC version at 1080 at a peg 60 frames per second. This is the default mode over on the left on the PlayStation 5, so some of that resolution may suffer with the super sampling. That would be the only differences you'll see. Other than that, completely impeccable versions on both systems. Very impressed. Currently got 3 of my mates in what I call the Monster Hunter Rise grinder and trying to learn the game from scratch. It's one of my more rewarding roles as a gamer, is getting people interested in this, because once you're over that hill, it's like trying to push a broken down car. Once that damn thing's moving, this is one of the most rewarding, taxing, Dark Souls like online co-op, amazing game loop. No real farming, Sean, okay? You get stipulated rewards for killing exact monsters. If you want to get a particular part, you have to go out and break it. That's the angle. quite clearly got a bit more learning to do with the Insect Glaive, and if you are in two minds about whether to A, download this off Game Pass, or B, make the purchase for £30 on PlayStation 5 or 4, just go for it. Stick with it. You'll love it. It will be one of your greatest gaming experiences. It certainly was for me with all of the previous games and this. So I have been Couch Coop. Alright? And we'll see you down there.